To further explain my understanding of citizenship, I will be talking about some classes I took in college that has helped mold my idea of what I think citizenship is. So, in a class called Global Politics, I wrote a paper on the political issues associated with elections. I explained that elections create divisiveness amongst citizens, thereby making people of that community act indifferently towards each other. It also makes people feel less as citizens of that community if their candidate of choice was not elected. So therefore, they begin to distance themselves from political issues, which defeats the point of citizenship, which should bring people together to sort out their differences. So this idea of the power of voting is very similar to the power a jury has. So a jury is able to decide a man's faith by voting guilty or not guilty, even though they're not. But even just one person literally has the ability to turn things around by attacking the situation with real facts and not preconceived notions. So this shows that participating as a citizen counts, and by participating, this one person is also capable of questioning an almost impenetrable institution and questioning the norms what citizenship because that is what citizenship embodies. And you can only do that if you actually participate, you take action, and actually get involved. So, in this same class, I was fortunate to write a paper about human rights violation in the textile community. So, the United Nations defines human rights as rights inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. So, such rights are inalienable that everyone should be entitled to as citizens. So, people must understand that their rights as humans cannot and should not be taken away from them without any due process. And so, because of this, I was inspired to join the No Abuse community, which is a small textile community here on campus that actually participates in making the issue of the process of overworking employees and underpaying them visible. And by kind of like protesting against it and bringing the issue to light for people to actually take notice of and actually contribute to. So in my college, through my college career or time, another class that has helped me mold my idea of what I think citizenship is was a co-curricular activity I participated in called the Nexus Maximus competition. So in this competition, we were required to work with people from different majors and from different countries to come up with, or rather design a device that would be beneficial to the health community, both in the US and abroad. In this group, I was very fortunate to meet people from all different walks of life, which was which was the most diverse group I'd ever been in. From living in the US, which tends to be a bit, which tends to be mostly uncommon because usually it's like people who are from where you are, like from the same class or socioeconomic class of you that you would be in the same group with. But being in a group with like diverse people of different ages, different majors, different people who could speak different languages and all coming together working on the project was very beneficial. And I definitely learned a lot from them. So this actually speaks to the power of collaborating. Through collaborating, I was able to like learn from everyone and what they had to offer. And because of like the diversity of the group of people and how people did things differently in their countries or like in their ethnicity, we were able to come up with like a very, very diverse ranges of like ideas. And we all pulled it together to actually design this medical device in which we were the first runner up. So I thought so I think having a diverse group collaborate actually renders the best result than having people of the same race or gender or socioeconomic class. Everyone, if once you're a diverse group, you bring your knowledge together and it just works for the better. So another class that has inspired my thought for the idea of what citizenship is was my capstone folio workshop class. In that class, we were required to write a paper on who you aspire to be in your professional career or life. And for me, I chose Philippe Starck, who is a renowned French designer. And so, as popular and busy as he may be, he's a very active member of the design community. His contribution to the design community has inspired me to be more active in my community. And because of this, I have collaborated with other members of the design community to organize pop up shops, to invite industry guest speakers to actually talk to student designers who have ideas. And it has also inspired me to volunteer and mentor um, upcoming freshmen and sophomore textile designers, um, which is something I'm very passionate about. And through doing this, I've not only uh, taught them, I've actually learned a lot from them, especially like the very basics of textile design that I may have forgotten, at that time. So doing this is actually a two-way communication strategy. You just learn a lot from the freshmen and the sophomores. Meanwhile, I give them a lot and they give me a lot. So it is almost like a symbiotic relationship, which is very much tied down to the idea of citizenship, being involved, participating, communicating with each other, whether you think you are in a higher position than they are, or they are in a higher position than you are, because in both ways you learn from each other. So the last class I'll be talking about, where I actually did gain a handful of knowledge, um, and what citizenship is to me, was in my textile industry issues class. So in this class, this was more of like a trip we took to um, a paint store in New Jersey. In that class, we learned about like the different issues, or rather, the different issues in the textile industry. One of them being like um, the improper disposal of like waste products from synthetic fibers, or the manufacturing of dyes. So most times, like their waste products are like disseminated into the air or like into water, which therefore pollutes like the fishes and literally kills them. So in this class, we're able to like tackle the issue, propose a solution, work together, and come up with ideas. What was also interesting about this class was that we actually communicated with students in the textile design industry in India and in Bangladesh. We talked about like the different issues in the industry that they face over there, and we kind of like exchanged the knowledge of like what we thought like um, the different issues were like in the US and over there in Asia. And it's funny how one of the issues they also had was the pollution of like the water and the air, which you would think would be like something peculiar to the US, but it wasn't really. So it just shows that citizenship actually calls for globalization, that just because something happens over here does not mean it's not happening somewhere else in the world, even though it's a developing country, or it's not it's not a prominent country as the US is. So it just shows that pollution also has no boundaries. Anything that happens, or any pollution that happens in Asia, can actually make its way to the US. So basically, it was interesting because we came up with ideas, proposed solutions, and how to better manage the issue of improper waste materials and find like better ways to dispose of these materials instead of causing pollution.